Part 1. The Birth of a Legend. The story that you are about to learn began not in the offices of the Special Services or on the battlefields, but on a quiet street in Buenos Aires. On the evening of May 11, 1960, a man got off a bus traveling along one of the routes. It was Adolf Eichmann, who had been hiding from justice for many years after the war under the assumed name Ricardo Clement. He worked at the Mercedes-Benz factory, lived an ordinary, unremarkable life, and seemed to completely disappear into the crowd. But his peace was disturbed. Several burly men instantly pinned him down, pushed him into a car, put dark glasses over his eyes and a hood over his head. That's how the operation that will go down in history as the finale began. For Israel, a newly created state, the capture of Nazi criminals was a matter of national security and moral duty. After World War II, many of them, including Eichmann, managed to escape using the so-called rat trail, secret routes laid out with the help of Catholic priests and sympathizers of the regime. Germany was in ruins, and the new government was in no hurry to find its former functionaries. America and other countries with their own interests also did not show proper zeal. The only force that wasn't going to give up was Israel. The Mossad organization, which few people knew about at the time, was officially established on April 1, 1951. Initially, it was a small group of 15 people who worked almost enthusiastically. Their budget was meager, and their methods were still being formed. The first head was Reuven Shiloah, but the real founding father of the Mossad, the one who turned it into a formidable force, was his successor, Isser Harel. Born in Vitebsk, he was nicknamed Memune, responsible, and was a man of legend. It was Harel who possessed an iron will and strategic thinking, who turned the Mossad into what it is today. He believed that all means were good to protect Israel, and that intelligence should have agents all over the world. The Eichmann case became a personal challenge for him. The information that Eichmann lives in Argentina was received from the Mossad from a German Jew who miraculously survived the concentration camp. He learned about the whereabouts of Eichmann from his daughter, who was dating the Nazi son. However, in Germany, these data were ignored. Then the survivor turned to the Israeli government, but even there, at first, they did not take his words seriously. It was only thanks to the persistence of Isser Harel, who decided to check the information personally, that preparations for the operation began. A team of 10 people, including Harel, went to Buenos Aires disguised as tourists. They spent months watching Eichmann, recording his every step, every movement. They made sure that this was the person they were looking for. Isser Harel personally led the operation. The entire group acted with the utmost caution, changing meeting places and using a sophisticated communication system to avoid being spotted by the local police. The operation was so secret that even in the Israeli government, only a few people knew about it. Part 2. The Abduction and the Patient of the El Al flight. The abduction operation was carried out swiftly and without a single shot. Eichmann was taken to a safe house and held there for several days. During this time, they thoroughly interrogated him, made sure that he was the one who was posing as Ricardo Clement, and then began to think over a plan to take him out of the country. At that time, Argentina did not have an extradition agreement with Israel, so a legal way to deliver the criminal was impossible. There was only one thing to do: to take him out secretly. And here, Harel's team showed all their ingenuity. They decided to take advantage of the fact that on May 19, 1961, an Israeli airline El Al was scheduled to arrive in Buenos Aires with a special mission: to deliver an Israeli delegation that had flown in to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Argentina's independence. It was decided to marry Eichmann to one of the pilots, who was allegedly seriously ill and needed urgent hospitalization at home. Eichmann was given a sedative injection, dressed in El Al uniform, and put on a plane under the pretext of feeling unwell. Everything went like clockwork. None of the Argentinian authorities noticed the catch. The plane took off for Israel, and after a few hours, the Nazi criminal finally found himself in the dock. This story has become a symbol of the audacity and willingness of the Mossad to take the most extraordinary steps. Immediately after Eichmann arrived in Israel, the government officially announced his capture. This news shocked the world. Argentina protested, accusing Israel of violating its sovereignty, but support from the United States and West Germany played a key role. The Germans, by the way, were afraid that Eichmann would reveal the names of his accomplices, many of whom held high positions in Germany. This could have been an excellent propaganda weapon for the USSR and East Germany. Part 3. Eli Cohen and other operations. The trial of Eichmann became one of the most significant events in the history of the 20th century. It was covered by journalist Hannah Arendt, who would later write the famous book, The Banality of Evil. She was amazed at how ordinary the man responsible for the deaths of millions turned out to be. Eichmann was sentenced to death, and in 1962, he was hanged. His words before his execution, "I salute Germany, Austria, and Argentina, the three countries where I lived," became the last chord in this drama. Operation Finale made the Mossad famous, but that was just the beginning. Under the leadership of Isser Harel, Israeli intelligence conducted many more brilliant operations. One of the most famous was the story of Eli Cohen, one of the greatest agents of the Mossad. After he was rejected by the intelligence service the first time, he became a simple traveling salesman, but his persistence and natural talent eventually led him to the Mossad. He was introduced to Syria under the guise of a Syrian businessman named Kamel Amin Tabet. His career has been phenomenal. He became close to the Syrian military and politicians, became the third presidential candidate, and provided invaluable information to Israel. He revealed the location of military installations, plans for the construction of missiles, and even talked about where and how Syrians hide from the sun in the Golan Heights area. This information, among other things, helped Israel to win the Six-Day War. Unfortunately, it was discovered in 1965. Despite all Israeli attempts to save his agent, Eli Cohen was publicly executed in Damascus. He became a symbol of self-sacrifice and loyalty to duty. Another famous operation conducted under the leadership of Harel was Operation Damocles, aimed at sabotaging the Egyptian missile program. Egypt, with the help of German scientists, was developing rockets that could reach Israel. The Mossad began a real hunt for these scientists, using exploding letters and other methods. This operation showed that the Mossad will stop at nothing when it comes to Israel's security. Part 4. Turning Points and Modernization. In 1963, Isser Harel resigned due to disagreements with the Prime Minister over Operation Damocles. Meir Amit took his place. Under his leadership, the Mossad is beginning a new era, the era of technological modernization. Amit realized that the future of intelligence lies in technology, computers, and strategic planning. He expanded his network of agents around the world, creating legal and illegal micro-corporations for cover. One of the most daring operations of this period was Operation Diamond in 1966. The aim was to steal a Soviet MiG-21 fighter jet which was in the service of Arab countries and posed a serious threat to Israel. The Mossad recruited Iraqi pilot Munir Redfa, promising him $1 million and Israeli citizenship. Redfa flew to Israel on his own plane. The aircraft was disassembled and studied by Israeli engineers, which gave a huge advantage in the Six-Day War. Despite all the successes, there were failures. In 1965, the Mossad became involved in the assassination of Moroccan opposition leader Mehdi bin Barka in Paris. This led to a break in relations with France, one of Israel's closest allies at the time. Additionally, the Mossad was criticized for failing to prevent the Six-Day War in 1967, even though military intelligence warned of an impending attack. These failures, though painful, forced the Mossad to rethink its methods and become even more professional. The history of the Mossad is a story of constant struggle and ingenuity and ruthlessness that was necessary for the survival of a young state. Behind every operation that we know about today, there are real people whose names have remained in the shadows for a long time. They did their job believing that every step they took brought security and peace closer to their country.